Hey guys. You coming in? Come on then. I just have to do all the YouTube stuff before we start. If you ever wonder what I'm doing at the beginning on my computer. Sure it looks... Hello. Let's just check my sound. Hello. Let's just check my sound. So hi guys, welcome to Livestream. If you've never joined me on Livestream before, then the way that you ask questions is through Skype, and my Skype address is LisaCairns12. So you can send a request for that now. I don't answer all the questions. I skip around and do things differently every week. So if you don't get your question answered, then you can try again on Wednesday. I tend to do the sessions every Sunday and Wednesday here on YouTube. If you want to come to an event of mine, the next event that I've got is in the south of Spain. It's Canar, Spain, and that's over Easter. That's the 28th of March till the 4th of April. And that's a 7-night intensive retreat. You could find, I think you can find the info at the side of my, just here. You click a little I button and then it like says the info, and then it says about the event. And on there you can also book sessions. I do one-to-one sessions. You can find that on my website. And I tend to do 2 different things in the session. I either do more of a meditation where we talk about non-duality, which is a lot more of a quiet session, and we just explore the nature of your perception, where you think your perception ends. And then the other thing that I do in the sessions is I also do just an investigation into your personality structure of what you believe, what you think. So maybe the person comes with a very specific problem, and I just investigate that with you, just so you can become more conscious about your unconscious patterns. And I normally do that just by asking questions, what you think to be true. And so if you feel like you really want to go into something, it's better maybe to book a session than to do it on live stream, because they get recorded and they go on the internet, and sometimes that can make you a bit vulnerable. So we can do it to an extent, but there's obviously an element of privacy that you'll want. And I love talking about this subject with people, so I love doing the sessions and talking about this with people. I don't always love it. I'm not some sadomasochist when somebody's really suffering and they bring the suffering to the table, but I also see that as part of being human, as part of this life, and I feel grateful that life uses me as an instrument to be able to explore that and see that it's not as unbearable as the person may think it is. It's part of all this, part of the opposites. And it's the same on live stream. I love sharing this message with people. I do think, though, that a lot of people's problems, and I think this makes me less popular as a speaker, aren't really, ultimately the end of suffering is the realization of non-duality, and that's the ultimate freedom. But I do think that a lot of the time what's happening in the person is the avoidance of psychological issues and having negative neural pathways, so negative thought systems and belief systems, and that leads to difficult relationships at work, difficult relationships, intimate relationships, because there's a lot of untrue beliefs, untrue ideas in the body-mind mechanism. The biggest lie ultimately is that you're a separate person, and most ideas are then built on that. So our basis is that we're somebody that exists in here. So I am Lisa, you are John. And that's the biggest mistake. And then all these ideas are based on that. But often a lot of those ideas are negative ideas. I don't know why it is, but we seem to live in a society where people pick up a lot of negative ideas about themselves and low self-esteem. I don't know if that's just the way in which such a busy society can work and function. So it's like an evolutionary thing that we need a certain amount of workers for our society, and compliance, and an easy way to get compliance is to make somebody believe that they're inadequate. Like, it's much harder to train somebody to be compliant with everything if they believe they're adequate. If you think about that logically, they'd actually, I think that society would get better production if everyone believed they were adequate. Maybe not as quick and fast production, so maybe it's more economical. But if you believe you're inadequate, then you're very likely to be more codependent and dependent on feedback and dependent on getting that praise. And while you're dependent on getting that praise, then you'll work as hard as you can in order to get that praise, whether it be praise through having lots of money, having lots of possessions, having a beautiful girlfriend, a beautiful husband, a or a rich girlfriend, whether it be success in the career. And that's very painful, to be living most of your life seeking for that love in things. And what it inevitably does is it disappoints and creates a sense of depression, because you're desperately seeking for that validation, but it's completely unconscious in most people. And ultimately what you're seeking for, and this is where non-duality comes in, is love. And that's a very normal human characteristic, is to seek for love. That's the way we're set up. That's not necessarily separation, is that we're set up to get on and to be cooperative and to want to grow together and to be friendly. But then there's this added dimension where it's this comfort, this love, this absolute love, like seeking for this absolute love. And that's more of a desperate one, because when you are out of touch with the absolute, then there's always a sense of restlessness. So there's more emphasis on getting personal love and personal attention and personal gratification, which is inevitably disappointing. And so I do think that a lot of spiritual seekers that come to my talks or go to other talks could do with understanding human dynamics and understanding psychology better. And I'm not a psychologist. No way am I preaching that I am. I've learned loads about my stuff, about my conditioning, so I can give advice based on that. But I'm not a trained psychologist. So that's something that you have to look into and explore yourself. One thing that I do in sessions that I've been doing more recently, and maybe somebody can phone in today and I can work through it with them, is just asking questions so people become more conscious about what they're doing. You know, most people don't know what they want, and that's fundamental to being a healthy, balanced human, is knowing what you want. If you don't know what you want, then you're going to get swayed by everybody else's wants and desires and expectations of you. And that's huge, not knowing what you want. Like now, listening to this talk, do you know what you want from this talk? Or are you just passively listening and going with the flow, which fits in with the idea of spirituality? Like, what is it you want from this talk? Now, you might say enlightenment, and that's great. That's what I used to reply when I used to get asked these things. When I was a Buddhist, I used to reply, I want enlightenment, and they all used to laugh. And I'd be like, what are you laughing at? Why else are you here? And another would be like a bit of peace of mind. So if you, if you reply enlightenment, that's fair enough. But what does that mean to you? What does this idea of enlightenment mean to you? So I used to be very airy-fairy about that, and then one teacher told me to actually describe what it was. Like, what did it feel like? What does it feel like, this idea of enlightenment? Because if you're going to put so much energy in it and so dedicate so much time, surely you should be specific about what it is. I mean, is it ultimate pleasure? Is it to be in a constant state of orgasm? Is it to get my attention? I'm sure that is some people's motivation, or to get my appreciation. Is it to get a feeling of being worthy? Is it because you want a better life? And this is just answering it now. I'm not asking you to answer it for what it's going to be like in 10 minutes time or next year. Just now, what is it that you want? To feel more relaxed? You see, we often have this belief or this idea, like I want enlightenment, and we don't really know what it is. So we believe in this idea of enlightenment, and we go after it, and we kind of forget why we wanted it in the first place. And then we kind of get into, well, there is no one, so that doesn't matter, and just ignore all human dynamics. But it's super important on the human level to understand what you want. If you don't understand what you want, then society will just drag you through life, and you'll end up doing lots of things that you don't want. Sometimes we all have to do things we don't want, but if you don't know what you want, then you'll end up living for other people, which is okay as well. So maybe one thing you could do after this talk, or maybe you could do it now, is list down 3 things that you want in your life right now, or 3 things that you want in this talk. I've spoken about this many times before, and I'm sure I repeat myself lots, but when I was taught playwriting, what I was taught is all you need to work out is what people want and what they do to get it. And sometimes those characters aren't clear about what they want, so it's messy. And you're allowed to have what you want. Like, what voice is it that says that you have to be self-sacrificing? That you have to not get what you want? That's very convenient for society to teach you that. Then that means you'll work for this society. And we all have wants. I have wants. I have wants in all my interactions. And I was never really sure why on the human level I did these talks. On the absolute level, they just happen. The talking just happens, but it happens through a pattern. And I wasn't really sure what pattern it was of Lisa that did these talks. And then last retreat, I think it was, it became so obvious. I kind of knew this already, and I'd thought about lots of different reasons why I did it. Like I love talking about the non-duality side. And I find humans fascinating, so I love the investigation of certain dynamics. I find it sad, people suffering, but I also love it when I see people change. So when I see people learn from it and grow. And when I did this retreat, People, at the end of the session, at the end of the retreat, we did a circle, and I received lots of compliments about the way that I held the retreat, or what I'd done, or what people liked or didn't like. It just ended up that way, more so than normal. Maybe I don't do the circles like I did them, but for some reason I got lots of compliments. And when I got the compliments, it was nice, but it didn't really do that much. It was nice in the sense of I could hear what worked or what touched people, but a sense of like me feeling proud of myself or anything like that, that didn't happen. Like I didn't feel any of that. But then some people talked about a change that happened in them, or some form of awakening, or an opening, or just a recognition of a pattern that they'd been unconscious of. And when people talked about the change and that it had helped them in some way, my heart just sung. When, on the human level, when there was change, or there was a change for the positive, it just really made my heart sing. It really like touched me. And I wasn't ever as clear. I knew that I liked that, but I was never as clear. Like, out of all the things that people said at the end of it, I found that the most touching thing. That beats every part of the job for me. And I was conditioned by lots of non-duality, and almost it's like on the human level you're not allowed to have wants or desires in non-duality, which isn't true at all. That's talking from the absolute level. On the human level, you always have wants and desires, whether it be a want for a cookie, whether it be a want to make your partner feel happy, whether it be a want to walk your dog or do the taxes, or make a hot water bottle, or tell your neighbor what a great neighbor they are because you want them to feel good, or to get on with someone, or to be nice, or to make someone a cup of tea. There are always wants on the human level, and your wants are dependent on the way that you've been conditioned and your genetics. And these are always changing. And you can always update them. The more that you become conscious of it, you can always change and update your way of being, but you're always going to have your imprint. Like, I'm not going to suddenly just become like an Indian Bollywood star or something. Like, I'm going to tend to have this English reserved, like my parents. But the more that you become conscious of your patterning and the way that you work and your neural pathways and your thought processes, the more likely they are to change and to lighten up and to become more see-through, and there's a possibility for change. And that's not somebody's doing. So you hear me talk about that and you think that's somebody's doing. But that one that's becoming conscious of those neural pathways and of the personality structure is also happening. You believe that's who you are, but that's another functioning of this complicated robot. So that's that one that's updating the system and learning about itself is not the experiencer. It's being experienced. But most people, the energy is caught in that person, believing that's who they are. And when there's a belief that's who you are, everything about yourself becomes overly important. You've forgotten the absolute level of life. The who you are is nothing. You're not really your conditioning. If you believed, I don't think there can be any freedom, no matter how balanced you are as a personality structure, if you just solely believe that's who you are. Because you're going to have positive thoughts and you're going to have negative thoughts. You're going to do good things and you're going to do bad things. And when you're just identified with that person, that's too overwhelming, the negative side of life. There can't be an acceptance. You're always going to be striving to create positivity and pleasure. And there's a realization that's ultimately not who you are. It's like there's a forgiveness of the human on the human level. And there's a movement back to what you are, because we are animals, and, you know, all of us want the biggest piece of cake with the cherry on top. And sometimes, though, we're programmed that we want our partner to have it, or we want someone else to have it, but only because it gives us pleasure. We are self-interested animals with, what's that word? That nice, beautiful, long word. that are altruistic, and this altruistic part though is formed in the fact that it gives us pleasure. But we do have that as an animal, which is beautiful, and I love it. I'm so glad that we're not like tigers or something. I'm so glad that we're social creatures or social animals. Khaleesi just had a very big dinner. She is now passed out. So I'll just answer some written questions, but if you would like to call in live and do an investigation with me, it's so helpful for other people to see and watch. I just want to give a little bit of advice if you do want to call in, is firstly be aware that it's recorded, and don't overly expose yourself past what you're comfortable with. You can also change your name on Skype. You just click on your information. You can change your name, so I don't say your name. You don't have to use your video. And then the next part is try to give space when we're doing it, because I'm sure you've watched many talks of me talking with people, and the most successful conversations that I have, not successful as in getting you to enlightenment, but successful is in helping the person understand themselves better, and maybe hearing the enlightenment side as well. So if you do call in, the most successful way to do it is to give space. So don't overshare. This is a very common trait in certain personality types, is wanting to share everything. And when I say overshare, it's not about not getting to the point, like get to the point of how you feel. You can share that and that vulnerability. But it's like you don't need to fill all the silence. There's nothing wrong with silence in conversation. I know our society is totally against it. You can never have silence in a conversation. You always have to keep speaking. But I grew up, I spent so much time with Buddhists that I'm so comfortable with silence, and I give you full permission to be comfortable with that too. And I think it will be more successful for you because it'll give you time to calm down, it'll give you time to reflect on what's being said. Over talking is sometimes a defense, actually, to stop intimacy. And to confuse things as well, to confuse the situation. But also, if you're a personality type which is super stressed about what other people think about itself, don't worry too much. And if you overtalk, I'll try and gently remind you. But I don't like to be too brutal with people when I'm doing it in front of 100 and something other people. I would be more brutal one-to-one and say it. Okay, let's do some written questions first. Isn't this exciting? Ookie dookie dookie dook. Khaleesi's not even moving. Hello, Khaleesi. Yook. Hello. She's sweet. Okay. Okay. Hey, Ramon. Thanks. Hi, Beth. How's your foot now? It's been over a year. Hey, Jeremy. Hi, Elisa. Elisa. Hi, Lisa. My name is Elisa. Sorry for my English. I'm Italian. I have a question. You said that actions happen, choiceless happen, and they require an energy to happen. This energy is not made by me, but my question is, are thoughts and a sense of me made by biological brain, or the biological brain is kind of a wreck of receiving machine, and how can you know these things? Thank you to be a precious friend. I can't know these things for sure. I just sort of say what I feel. I feel like the brain and the body are producing thoughts. Like scientists actually can't find the place of where thoughts arise, but they do think that all organs contain thoughts, which is the same as what the Chinese medicine believe as well. So I feel like the body produces thoughts, but consciousness, presence, produces the body. And the body works in apparent cause and effect. So your body thinks in your particular pattern, and it's unlikely that it's suddenly going to start thinking in Japanese about a job that you're not trained in, so say like marine biology or something, but maybe you're a marine biologist, but I'm just going for a guess. Or hey, Deanna. Hey, Lisa. What's happening is what's supposed to be happening. Too true. Hi, Bia. Hi, Isti. Where does consciousness come from? Well, that's something, Isti, that you have to investigate for yourself. Like, I can tell you and I can give you the flat out answer, but that will be a belief. That'll be an idea that you believe in. So you have to see where consciousness comes from in your experience. So right now, where is that empty looking coming from? Where is that conscious presence that's right here coming from? Does it come from the edge of the rooms? So does it come from the walls? Does it come from behind your head? Does it come from your eyes? And what I mean by consciousness is not personal awareness, so not the one that can shut the eyes and put the attention on the foot, the one that's instantaneously recognizing everything, that recognizes the sound of my voice, not the brain that interprets my voice, but that instant recognition. So is that consciousness inside your head listening to my voice, or is the consciousness inside my voice? So explore. Hey Renate. Hi Joan. Hi Felix. Hi Sakit. Hi Monty. Hi Lisa. I truly appreciate how generous you are with your time, wisdom and emptiness. I feel blessed to know you. Merci beaucoup. Merci Monty. Hey Darren. Just over a month ago I experienced a brief but vivid glimpse that literally everything is appearing in consciousness. I noticed something a week or so later that my internal monologue is much quieter, and this is especially noticeable when I'm in conversation with another. There seems to be a relaxing and deeper listening, which I am very much appreciating. There is still a seeking for a more complete falling away, but I understand that it will never happen or won't, and there is nothing I can do about it. Thanks for your talks. I like your style. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And that's what it is it's like a absolute collapsing into what's happening. So when you're identified, it's like all the energy is sucked inside the behind the eyes, and you feel like that person, you feel like that loud voice inside your head, the one that's making choices. And as that movement begins to happen, it's almost like that person goes into another room, and it still has its way of being, and it still has its particular qualities, but that's no longer who you are. That's an experience happening in who you are. It's got distance. Hi Thomas. Hi Lisa, good to see you. Super deep. This is the core of it for me. I feel the need to learn more about how to convey these ideas better, how to shake people out of the funk, so to speak, without hurting them. Simply learning more about the psychological aspect of how to speak about the subject of wholeness and awakening itself, how to best change that one truly wish to see in oneself and other. I learn a lot from other great teachers as well as you, some of whom I feel approach this from completely different angles, but where the core message is the same. This is extremely exciting in and of itself for me. Just continued growth, seeking and learning more on a personal and spiritual level, a deepening of insight and spreading the awareness as much as feasible. Nice. Ooh, hey Lisa. I cannot sometimes feel as if I listen with two ears, personal ears and some other unknown ears, like I can touch what you're speaking about, and there's a sense of falling and at some same time the holding on the person. You understand? 1, what is that? 2, and who is the one that feels that? The one that feels the bliss rush, the one who feels the guilt, lack, shame rushes. And P.S. the speaker must be what it is, no, and it seeks. How could it be different? Thank you. So there's two different things that happen when you have the bliss rush and when you have like feelings of guilt, shame, and guilt, shame rushes. So there is the body mind, which is interpreting that bliss rush and the guilt and the shame. And then there's the instantaneous watching of it that remembers nothing and has no memory or brain. It's just conscious of those two dynamics happening. Now, more than likely, when there is that, there will be a change in the person, so it won't be feeling so much huge blisses and so much shame and guilt and all these sorts of things, because there'll be more relaxing into what you are, which is this instant presence. And that instant presence doesn't remember feeling shame in the last moment. It just turns up in every moment, experiencing every moment for what it is. That's why it's so free, and that's why it's so important that the nothing side is talked about. That this is also nothing. Or I instantly see I'm asking the question because I want some grip on what's happening. I want to feed the hope and reassurance I'm going somewhere else, where the personal ears drop and all gets clearer and less painful. Control and reassurance I'm not nuts, also with the two ears, because it feels a little weird. Never mind. So that's nice, catfish, that you I nearly called you your name. That's nice, catfish, that you realise that. That's really nice. That you asked the question, but then you also realise what you wanted underneath it. And there's nothing wrong with asking the question, and there's nothing wrong with the dance of it. And yes, you are totally loved and perfect as you are. And then on the human level, the more that you become conscious of these sorts of things, the easier it is to change these types of things, because you'll be doing that in relationships, looking for the hope and the reassurance in relationships. It will be your patterning, because you're having a relationship with non-duality like you'd have a relationship with the boyfriend. That's the way the human is. And then there's that instant recognition in every moment, and that's the true peace. That empty looker that's holding nothing from moment to moment, that's free. Hi Camilla, big wave of love to you, Lisa. Oh, big wave back. Carmela, not Camilla. Do I always call you Camilla? Carmela. I don't know so many people called Carmela. I think it's quite a rare name. Hi Dominique. Hey Keith. What do I want? Just want a calmer, more peaceful mind that doesn't get caught up in fearful and aggressive stories and feelings. Maybe I could ring in today. I've recently become caught up in a story full of fear and aggression, and I'm sure that's a sign that I'm unconscious of what's driving it. I'm feeling so angry towards a friend who I feel was aggressive towards me last week, and I feel afraid that she will justify herself to mutual friends and maybe turn them against me, a fear of being outcast. But I think I'll arrange a one-to-one. If I do ring in, I'll try to be silent as I can. I do over talk as a defense, and if I do, feel free to stop me. Zuki, you're welcome to ring in. I think quite a few people would like to ring in, but you're welcome to. I sometimes feel it's too much for people because they're being so vulnerable. Like there's 143 people watching at the moment, and I always have like a sense of compassion towards us. I'm less likely to be as direct in online talks. Hi, Gregory. Hi, Jason. Hi, Conrad. Hi, Isabel. Hi, Chris. Hi, Lisa. Thanks for last time personal chat. I really loved it, and when re-hearing it, so many things I understood. Gratitude. You're a very sweet person. Thanks a lot. That's sweet that you say I'm sweet. Yeah. I try to be. I try to be not sweet, but I try to be I tend to do it a lot by feeling what my body feels. So sometimes I can be aggressive with people and pushy with people, but I try to be gentle with people as well, because this subject can bring up so many things. For people, and can make them very vulnerable, you know. And a lot of people that are listening, they're not in a community or a group. That's something that I did, is I made myself in a sort of non-duality community and a Buddhist community, so I had people to share with and to go through this with, whereas a lot of people that are listening in don't have that. And so when talking about it, sometimes the only time they get to talk about it, and it's a very vulnerable place for them to be, especially with people listening as well. Hi, mindfulness Fantation. Hi, Eric. Hi, I was wondering if we've connected on Skype. Not sure how to send a request. I'll see if you've connected, thanks. Yes, we've connected. Hey, Edith. Hey, Julie. Thanks for your lovely YouTube sharing. With pleasure. Hi, Rubes. Do you know of any non-duality dating site to recommend? No, I don't. But I have, I've always joked over the years about setting one up. I sometimes used to think that people came to my events just to meet somebody. I see that at retreats sometimes. Hi, Wolfgang. Hi, Lisa. What you told recently about love, this was really beautiful and so true. Thank you, and kiss to Khaleesi. Yes, no questions at the moment. Just to be in this with you and the others. Do you have any hint to know better which the real wishes are? Often I have many ideas and I'm not sure what to do. Wolfgang. That's a good question, Wolfgang. So all of us are always changing our ideas and changing what we want and what we feel, dependent on our emotions. So the stories that we tell about ourselves are dependent on what we feel, and the wants are dependent on what we feel. So this part of it is flexible, is seeing that you want something now, but you might not want it later. So maybe what you could do as an exercise, but this is just for you to explore, is try to only focus on the more immediate wants, like I want a cup of tea, or I want to be quiet, or I want to do this or do that, rather than try to get involved in the bigger wants of like I want to move to France, or I want a new career. So to just start noticing the smaller wants and just sort of get to know yourself. And there's many reasons why in your personality structure that might have arisen like that, is that you often don't know how you feel or what you feel. It might be from having parents that didn't know what they felt or what they wanted and didn't listen to you. There's so many different reasons to why that came about. Like you might, education system have got into the dynamic that your wants weren't important, it was only completing tasks. There's so many different reasons. Also not feeling the body. So another thing you could do is do practices that help you get to know your body better and the feelings in your body. And it's all like this subject, there is an element on the human level of coming to trust yourself more, like being more balanced is trusting yourself on the human level more to make the right choices. The reason that they become so complicated is because of many ideas normally and belief systems that are in play, rather than being more connected with your gut. Nowadays, many people think that Earth is undergoing a great change through a paradigm shift in consciousness. Dong, dong, dong. Maybe you heard about Cobra. What do you think about that? Do you feel these incoming new energies? Cobra, let's look it up. I have never heard of Cobra. Sounds very exciting. Cobra. It's lecture, Blu-ray, electronics, amplifier, Cobra. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, obviously it's not coming up over Cobra. It's all about snakes here. They are beautiful, those snakes. Wow, look at them. Isn't that beautiful? Hi, good to see you. Hi, Matisse. Don't jump to conclusions. Nima. Hey, Nima. Hi, Lisa. I am burning and I want to know what is this all about. I heard Papaji, Muji, Ramana Maharshi, Sadhguru and many enlightened masters. I just don't understand what is all this for, and I'm tired of experiencing it like waves. I have had deep experiences about Sashar, and systems can go there at any time it wants and come back again and go on again. But what's the point of all this? Is it possible if we can video call together? I want to explain it for you. Sure, Nima. Let's talk. Call, please. Hey, Nima. Hello? I can't hear you. Do you want to just test your Skype? So you can do something called Eco Skype, Eco Skype call testing. So you can do that and then call me back. And I'll just shut down my Skype and open it and see. I don't think it's me though. I Skype with people all the time. Thanks, this sounds good. I will go on. Hey. Hello?
Hi, Lisa.
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. about 2 years ago, we talked together, and I was laughing so much. I don't know you remember.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so I do yoga practices, and I've been following Sadhguru
Yeah.
yoga, and there's a practice called Shambhava Mudra and Surya Kriya, and these are the system purifiers, and it's just so beautiful. And these practices started cleaning the system, and I started to be able to just look at the watch, for example, and I just go to, when I say Sahasrar, I mean the seventh chakra. I mean the crown chakra. So I used to, I mean, now even it's like that. So when I just look at the watch and I just bring my system to intense activity or intensity, suddenly the seventh chakra, it just activates and everything just becomes like light. And it's just so beautiful. Like, I don't know, it's just like everything is just like a game. And I can just go from here to there in just 1 second. I mean, it's just so beautiful. So then after a while, I come back down to the lower chakras, and then I'm just thinking, what's the point of all this? For what?
Oh, you expect me to have an answer now? Well, but in what way are you asking me that? When you say what is the point, like what do you mean? What is the point? Like in what way do you mean what is the point? I mean, what's the point to getting up in the morning? What's the point to the sun rising? What's the point to talking or to eating?
Exactly.
Like what? So in why are you like why do you point that out more?
Okay, it is like this. Like when the life was normal, I felt so beautiful and everything was fine. But then I realized there is an inner world. Before that, I didn't know that. I thought that this is it. Like this table and this chair and this people and this is it. Then I realized there is exactly the same kind of, like, I can touch the table.
Yeah.
I can even touch the chakras at will at any time I want. There is exactly the same world like this, which is here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and each one of them there's a world by itself. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, now I got this, and I guess they call it siddhis or something like that, like power or something like that. I'm just thinking, what's the point? I mean, like, for what? You know why? What I mean about this? I mean that we spend so much time purifying our system to get access to these energies and to be able to use them at will. For example, what I mean is that we use the yoga practices to be able to purify the system so that the energy can move freely anytime it wants. So I'm just thinking that, and also I had another experience. I'm sorry, I just want to tell you this because it's very important. So this experience was a samadhi. I think it's called samadhi when the intellect becomes one-pointed. So that's what I mean about Sahasra. So beside that, I started experiencing that I am. And I realized that this thing is lower than I am. It means that I am is higher. I am is a vaster space compared to even this ecstasy. Even this ecstasy is happening in I am. So this ecstasy also is a cloud. I realized it. Okay, so even how beautiful it is, and the ecstasy is dripping from the middle of my head to all the system. it is still phenomenon, and it is still a cloud, and it will pass. I'm just wondering, what's the point of it? What's the point of it?
I don't know. I don't know what you're asking me. What's the point of the sun shining?
Yeah, that's my question.
But how can you ask me that and not say what's the point of the room? Like, why do you get stuck on that and think what's the point to that? And why do you not? Why do you? I mean, what's the point to anything? Why getting stuck on the spiritual practices? Because you thought they had points.
Ecstatic.
So you thought they were above daily living?
Because in those states, tears just flow for no reason. It just flows. And
Yeah.
it's just like, it just flows. And when I listen to a song, any song in the ecstatic feelings, I just feel the bliss body, Anandamaya Kosha.
Yeah.
I feel the Anandamaya Kosha completely. It's
Yeah.
like just this body. Just like this body is Anandamaya Kosha.
Yeah.
That's why I'm stuck. I'm not stuck. It's just so beautiful. I want to go there again and again every day. So, yeah.
So the point to it is it makes you feel good.
Yes.
So that's the point to it. Just like the point of eating and the point of is that you like it. Which is absolutely relevant, and you're absolutely allowed to like something, and so therefore because you like it you'll keep doing it. The thing is I think that you're beginning to think, does that lead me somewhere higher, or does that, and there's like sneaky thinking that's coming in and saying that the spiritual practice is above doing my accounts or shopping, but then your mind is also not sure about that. And I think that the spiritual practices that you do are beneficial, as in it makes your body more balanced. Like when you do them, it's like a cleaning out. It's like doing a detox, like a juicing detox or something. It cleans out your system and makes it more balanced. And that's really beneficial because when the person's more balanced, then it's way easier to hear something beyond that, which is the I am, which is
Exactly.
more absolute level, that you aren't anything. So it's not that those states will lead you anywhere. They won't lead you everywhere. You're never going to stay in samadhi. It's beautiful, it's blissful, it's an experience that comes and goes. But I think it's beneficial for the body, and it's healthy for the body. I mean, it's way healthier than being hours or most of the day in stress. That's so good for the system and so healthy for the body mind. And as you become more clear, then you see that you are this presence in which all of that life arises in, and ultimately nothing has more point than anything, because everything's a circular motion. Like you can never make yourself stay in samadhi, and you actually don't want to, otherwise you would. Like you'll notice that there's times where your body and your system's had enough. It's too much.
Yes, they have to rest.
Yeah, it's too much. You'll realize that actually just having a cup of tea is, you just like to have a cup of tea simply, and you know, like, or just chat or laugh with friends, and then doing it again is really nice. But like everything, like having an orgasm or any of these very pleasurable experiences, you don't want it all the time. Actually, you don't want these high pleasures all the time. But I think it's super healthy to do that and to have these experiences, and super balancing for the chakra system, for the body, for the energies that you're taking in from the Wi-Fi, from the internet, from the electricity, from other people. It's like rebalancing the system. But you'll never get to stay in that. You can try as much as you like, but you'll never stay there permanently. And then you see actually the freedom is just an absolute intimacy with all the experiences, and that all of the experiences are part of life. You cannot have bliss without sadness. You can't have bliss without the opposite. This is the life, this is the creation of opposites, and that's the way it works. You're born, you die. It's night and day. You love, you hate. You're joyful, you're angry. If you cannot have ugliness, you cannot have beauty. If you cannot have birth, you cannot have death. And ultimately, there's none of these things in this instant, but in the apparent world, it's the world of duality. The apparent world is the world of duality, and ultimately, it's not duality, it's non-duality. But it appears as opposites, otherwise, consciousness could not experience itself. It's magical. But this is beautiful that you've been doing all these practices and having these experiences. That's really lovely. That's really, healthy for you and good for you. It's a good way to spend time. Most people just take drink or drugs in the evening to try and get out of themselves or try to relax. So the fact that you can do it through meditation or through a practice is really good for you.
But this is not, these experiences like samadhi, these are just
experiences.
Yeah.
But they are helpful for clearing the human, cleaning the human, for clearing up the human so that the other possibility can be seen beyond them.
Yeah.
And I think all teachers would say that. Like a lot of the teachers would say that. It's just, even Satguru, I'm sure, would say eventually that that's just an experience. But he has to encourage people to do it because it takes a lot of effort to practice these things.
Yeah. I used to do the practices, and when about 1 month ago I started having this experience that I realized I can go there anytime I wish. This is what I realized. It's just like mathematics. Just like mathematics. You do this and then you add this +5 +6, then you're there. That's the beauty of it. And when I realized it, I started doing my yoga practices. Then I realized all the yoga practices' goal is to just open up this possibility. Because in the yoga practice that I did it about 1 month ago, when this thing happened to me, I started realizing whatever I'm doing, the butterfly or the Kundalini yoga or anything I was doing was still, the experience was still like I'm doing nothing. When this was activated, it's like I'm doing nothing. I'm already there. It's like I'm already there. So I realized, then what's the point of yoga? Then I realized, actually, because my system is clean, that's why I can easily experience this.
Yeah.
If my system was not clean, I was not able to experience it. So yoga is just a tool to clean it up.
Yeah.
I should not just put it away, because that is the reason I'm here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to share this.
That's beautiful. I'm happy to hear.
So is it? Yeah, I don't know what to say.
The chakra part is confusing because the chakra openings and those experiences and the Kundalini awakening is confusing, but it's ultimately an experience. But getting to know them better and getting and understanding them and working with them is part of what seems to happen on the human level.
Yes.
If you're really tight and contracted in all your chakra areas, there is no way that there can be an opening to non-duality, because the energy is so focused in seeking to get away from dread or fear or all these tight energies that happen in the body, these uncomfortable places.
Yes. I want to ask about the non-duality.
Yeah.
That is it. I'm sure that non-duality is higher than here. I mean, can we show it? Can we show it about the energy system, or is it beyond showing?
It's beyond showing. It's what makes the whole energy system. It's what makes everything. It's in every experience. It never moves. It's totally empty and it's everywhere. So non-duality is the ultimate. This is in the human realm, the chakras. This is what comes into manifestation. You cannot be enlightened as a human, but you can be very balanced as a human. And as that human becomes more balanced and more see-through and more clear, then there's the seeing that you were never any of this world, and yet you are all of it. Like in every experience, there is presence. Whether you're in samadhi or whether you're in hell, this is who you truly are. It's not those chakra systems that listen to my voice or see the room. They are part of the way the body is experiencing. They may be even prior to the body, but prior to them, I don't know exactly how that works, but prior to them is presence. And your chakras may become unbalanced again. You can't rely on them. You know, you get a shock, you go into a traumatic system now, and it might really activate one, and then you'd have to do yoga again to balance it.
Yeah. I had, you know, Papaji. Do you know Papaji?
Yeah.
I started listening to his videos, and Nisargadatta
Maharaj, yeah.
Yeah. He says that just to stay as I am, and I started being that, and I realized that is it that when I say I am, it shifts the system to the presence?
More than likely. I think it's different for everyone, so I can't give you a guaranteed answer as to how that works. But when I used to do the practice,
Yeah.
it was almost like for a second there was an intimacy with everything, and then I was back to myself again.
Yeah.
It's basically the true enlightenment is merging with everything. So it's like the hearing and the heard become the same. Like there's a merging with this instant.
Is it good to practice that, which I keep saying to myself, I am? Because when I say that, I shift out from the personality.
Yeah.
And it is like my voice and this monitor becomes one.
Yeah. I think if that's what resonates for you, because that won't resonate for everybody, but if that resonates for you, then I think that's an important thing to follow. Like what resonates for you. So if you feel a resonance with the word I am, then that's a wise direction to go down. But just know that at the end of the day, that one that's doing that practice is being experienced and appearing in the I am. It's kind of a contradiction. So even though it says it, that person that says it is appearing inside that I am. That I am is there regardless. It's beautiful. But if you find that resonates in the personal level, then that's really wise to recognize that. The I am was always my way. I was never into like putting your attention in the consciousness. That felt too dry for me or too dead. The I am is alive. Like I am, it's intimate.
And
that's love.
What about who am I?
I was never into that too, but if that resonates to someone. And basically I think the practice is that you say who am I, and eventually the mind just cannot repetitively get to anything, and so it sort of collapses something. So again, if that resonates, then that's wise to follow that. But again, all of that practice is happening in that freedom that's inherently here. So practice, we think that we practice, but really there's never practicing happening. There's life happening, and there's a following, the humans following something. And the freedom is always in everything that ever happens. And there's not really somebody that practices, because if you ask that question, who are you? Who is this person that practices? Who's listening to my voice now is prior to the person. The person is a functioning appearing in this dream. It's a thought and an energy appearing, but what remains always is I am, is presence. It's always presence. The time, you, your life, your history, everything is appearing in this presence. Your choices, your idea. I'm going to practice the I am, so there comes this thought that comes up again and again to practice the I am. And that's something that comes and goes. That's not a solid you. That's being experienced by who you really are. That one that's practicing it isn't a solid entity. But that doesn't mean that that person doesn't practice stuff, because I noticed if people get into the idea that I don't need to do anything, then the person kind of goes crazy. That the person for sure needs to balance, because it's come so out of balance by believing that it is someone and it's controlling this life. Nice. Maybe I move on to someone else now, but thank you so much for calling in. It's nice to speak to you again. I vaguely remember your laugh before.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Bye. I'm just going to go to the toilet. think it might be you, Carol. You said you're having problems with the audio. Um, and so something that you can always do when you're struggling, I don't think it's me, it might be, but I don't think it is move to a different browser, because it might be something in the browser that's causing problems. So watch YouTube so say if you're doing it in Chrome, watch it in Safari. This sometimes works. But I'll just check my audio now. Everyone's like, no, it's fine. Sometimes the audio is fine, and then somebody's not hearing the audio well, and then I change it all, and then it becomes bad. I change it all, and then it becomes bad. I change it all, and then it becomes bad. I change it all, and then it becomes. I think the audio is good. 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 Yeah, I think it's good. So try changing browser. I think it's a lot streaming and watching it on your phone, like I think, or your computer. So if you'd like to call in, I'll take one more call, and just write me a message. Firefox is a good browser. Yeah, Firefox is good. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Jane. Yeah, I did get your question. Maybe it's better that you have. That's great that you're now 18. Happy that you stayed with it and came back. But maybe it's better if you have more of a specific question, so we have more of a direction to go in. It makes it easier for me. It's yeah. Hi, Lisa. I think that we are all here because we looked for happiness everywhere, but we were always deluded. We're here because we don't know anymore where to look for happiness. I think that the other persons here agree with me. As long as you feel that on the bodily level, Morana, as long as you feel that on the bodily level, that's what you're looking for. Like, I know that sometimes when I was spiritually seeking, I used to be attracted to male teachers because I was looking for a bit of a daddy figure at some points. So even though it was like, yeah, I'm looking for non-duality and I see that it's not in anything, there was also daddy wanting wanting the attention of the teacher. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just a dynamic coming out, but just to always just to be conscious of what it is you want, and if that comes up at moments, like just be honest with yourself. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And sometimes I think that I wanted to study non-duality as well, to be better than people around me and to reject my family. Like, I don't think it's as clear cut as that. Humans are complicated and they feel different things in different moments. Hey Lisa, is there a chat? How do I join it? Yes. Yes, I have a topic. Present. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, sorry, you're watching, yeah. The chat is disabled. It's not always appropriate for chat. I would love it to be chat, but I think one week we had people that hate Korea coming on and deciding to block up the chat. And then one week when Korea and Trump people were fighting against each other, so I block the chat. Sorry, Luke. Do I want to call you? There's another lady called Jane asking as well, that wants to call as well. So I'm kind of thinking, or just feeling into which one to go for. It's nothing personal, whoever I choose. Hey, Jane. Hey. Nice.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna position myself somewhere where I can like talk to you more freely. Okay. So yeah, I'll let me take my water. Hi.
Hey. It's not the greatest of lines, actually.
Huh?
Now maybe we turn off the video. That might make it a bit better. Or maybe if you just stay still, it might make it better. Yeah, I think it's getting better now.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. I saw that you were online. I'm like, oh, that's to Lisa. It's been a while. Um,
No, it's like, what to talk about?
yeah, exactly.
No worries. If you can't
But
find anything to talk about, it's okay.
Hmm?
It doesn't matter if we can't find anything to talk about. That's okay.
So, presents.
What do you feel right now in your body?
Well, from what I can see, I'm a little shaky.
Yeah. That's it. That's okay. I mean, there is quite a few people watching. It's like no private conversation.
Yeah.
And you don't have to in any way ignore that feeling or try to escape from it. You can just feel shaky and be quiet. Like that's totally allowed. You know, whatever you, like not on a selfish level, not on a being mean to anybody, but your experience is the most important experience. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying go around and be mean to people, but you've got, like, it's like on the human level, we have to take responsibility for our experience. And if you feel like being quiet because shakiness comes up, that's totally allowed. You're not committed to have to speak, or you're not committed to have to ask a question. You're committed to simply being yourself, and that, I think, is the most compassionate thing anyone can do in every moment on a human level, is just be what you are. And if that suddenly means shyness, then you have to just leave me hanging. Like if you phone up for a talk and then shyness comes up and you've got nothing to say, then I can handle myself. It's almost a way of respecting the other person as well, saying, okay, I feel shy now, so I'm going to be quiet and let the other person handle themselves. The thing that can sometimes be uncomfortable with that is that sometimes I get shy as well. I'm an introvert, not an extrovert. And I sometimes find if I don't speak, if I get shy and go quiet, then they like speak at 100 miles an hour, and like 2 hours later they're still speaking. You're like, oh God.
Yeah.
So sometimes speaking can be a way of like pushing people back as well, so they don't invade you.
And sometimes that happens, and then you find yourself talking as well. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know, like, I'm right here. I'm in the bathroom. Yeah.
Oh, wrong drink. I wish somebody had said that to me when I was 18. Everyone always told me I had to be perfect, so I had to be somebody and something, and I had to speak and I had to be polite and
Yeah.
I think there's other people trying to join the call.
I was gonna ask you, I don't know if you're allowed to talk about other people on here. Do you remember speaking to Harrison?
Maybe it's best we don't talk about that. Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I know what happened as well. Yeah, Rebecca told me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe we can write about that after.
Okay.
Yeah.
I looked at this video from a teacher. Should I say his name?
Maybe best not to say the name, but yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
I think he had this video like about how like that is on some kind of level it's like your choice in a way.
Death.
Like yeah, like you when there's like no desire to be like alive anymore, you just kind of pop out sometimes or something.
Yeah, I mean, I can see things from so many different perspectives. So for me, when you say that, I feel like on one level I can relate, and then on other levels I can, like sometimes people really want to be alive and then something happens as well. But I remember listening to a teacher talk once, like a guru talk, and he was saying I have to have wants and desires. So I keep myself of wants or desires. Like, so he loved eating and he loved smoking cigarettes. He was quite a famous teacher, and he kept those because he knew that if he didn't, he would leave the body. So I think there's an element of truth in it, but I also think that there's everything's, it's not as easy as we think. It doesn't work in nice, easy, thinkable segments, because there's also many people that I've met that are dying that really want to live, or like a sudden accident and really wanted to live. I think that life is way more complex than we could possibly think about, but I can also relate to that statement as well. that when there isn't any desire left, then there can be a popping out of the body as well. I don't think it's the same in all cases. Were you good friends with Harrison?
We actually became friends through you.
Oh yeah.
Like hearing him talk to you, and then Facebook, he popped like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It must have been quite shocking for you.
Yeah, I'm just like from one moment to another.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
So,
It's the greatest teaching you'll ever hear. Actually, when I was about 18, I just began to get into Buddhism, and they very much had the concept of presence. But they used to teach me that I have to be present. I have to be present. So I used to spend ages trying to put my attention, like the Buddhists were very slow, so I used to copy them, and I'd put my attention into every little detail, like my hand picking up the cup, and then the feeling. And I thought that's what they were talking about, and then I went on to learn, and that's not quite what they're talking about, but it's got a similarity. It's like an intimacy with experience. And it's not that you have to be present, because presence is actually beyond the you. It's a movement back to presence, which is always here. Like our suffering comes from looking for that stillness in time. Like looking for that intimacy in a thing, in an object, in a dynamic, and that never works.
it's like this teacher, he said, just like relax.
Yeah.
Well, relaxing into.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think that really helps me through the day, like as Jane or whatever, is
Yeah.
like even 12 times a day, just like taking a deep breath.
Totally, yeah. Yeah. It used to help me with the Buddhist practice of this presence, because when I was younger, I used to get a lot of anger. I didn't have very good boundaries, so I wasn't very good at saying to people to no, or I wasn't very good at saying, please, can you give me space now? Or I was always trying to please other people, and my boundaries got invaded a lot. And so then what happened after my boundaries being invaded for a whole week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or feeling like walked over or too much, then I would explode, and I would be very aggressive towards that person, or to who I would suddenly become the victim, and I would start saying, what they've done and da-da-da. But really it was because I didn't have good enough boundaries. But I had no concept of that. I came from a family that totally wasn't into psychology or any of New Age spirituality, so I had no idea. But what used to help me when I'd have these problems is presence, and it would help me begin to realize these dynamics bit by bit. I didn't have someone teaching me it, but I could see it. Like I could see when I was being present, I could see that my heart was saying no, and I was verbally and intellectually saying yes. And then when I was getting angry, I could come back to my body, and that anger would calm down, because anger makes you powerless. When you express it in that volume with that much aggression, you suddenly become the perpetrator. So you become in the relationship, you become actually powerless. You're trying to get power back, and you actually lose by expressing that much anger. So for me, it was really beneficial to help calm these dynamics down. Like I think that also understanding these dynamics from somebody teaching them to me would have been helpful, but I didn't have that at the time. But it made me connect with my body more. Like it made me come down to my feet, and so somebody is speaking to me, and then I could feel that was too much. But it takes a lot to remind yourself of that, because you get so caught up in what's happening. Like daily life can be very quick. like people
Yeah.
speaking to you or lots of different things happening, and you totally forget your body. You just are involved in the dynamics or the thoughts or the energies. So the Buddhism really helped to calm down my personality structure, and it helped break that anger, those anger tantrums I used to have. But then I still had to learn loads. I still learn loads about the Lisa character and her dynamics.
Like looking at the
You like looking at the what?
Oh, I'm looking like at the background of
Oh
the
yeah.
room.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The colour. Oh no, you can't see much colour from there. You can if I move.
Where can you say where you're located at now? Or
Sorry?
you know? Can you say where you're located at?
Oh, where I live.
Wait.
I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if you meant where you're located as in like the personal sense of self. Like where is your sense of self right now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I live in France, in the south of France.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Bonjour.
Yeah. I'm currently learning French. It's very hard. I have to do half an hour practice every day.
Like a class?
I do class once a week, yeah. I do class once a week, and then every day I have to do an online thing. And so today I was learning I can, you can, he can, and I want. So je, pour, je, vous, like all these different words. I don't want.
The what? No, I didn't see. I'm having a conversation. Yeah.
I think we lost Jane. Bye. I still love your passion and surrender in teaching. Have a good time and be blessed every moment. Bonsoir. Thanks, Wolfgang. Okay, guys, maybe that's enough for tonight. Nice. Thanks, guys. Lots of love. Bye.